Okay, guys, today we are going to be commentating over another Charlie Kirk clip, and let's get right into it.
Yeah, you said there's no such thing as white privilege. Thank you.
There is no such thing as white privilege. It's racist and a lie. Prove it.
You prove it. Prove it down to
Fine. Asian Americans are the richest people in America.
You made a claim.
Asian Americans are the richest people in America per race.
Okay.
Indian Americans are the second richest.
Okay, wealth doesn't mean power in every
So
single
do you believe in Asian American privilege?
Hey, wealth doesn't mean power and privilege.
Do you?
Funny how they say wealth doesn't mean power in this situation, but yet look at what they say about the wealthy, how they're always claiming that the wealthiest people are always in power, and they're always saying that they should be taken down. So when it fits their argument, they claim wealth doesn't mean anything.
I believe in Asian American privilege.
I believe that there are a few people of certain races who have gotten very, very wealthy based on trade, based on the economic system that we have. I also believe that as a white man, I historically have an advantage over people who are of a color that is not my skin.
Do you realize that what he just said is that he honestly thinks that he is above other people just because of his skin color? He may not realize that's what he just said, but he literally just said that I am better than anyone else of any skin color just because I'm white. That is so racist, and he thinks he's the good guy.
This is evident from the slave trade, all the way up to Reconstruction, and all the way up to Jim Crow laws. I assume, based on your facial expression, that you have a retort. I'm going to go ahead and let you make it.
So did we treat Asian Americans well in the 1940s and 50s?
We sure didn't.
So then how did they overcome that?
They overcame that through
Were they privileged?
having to work harder than white people.
Oh, so they worked harder and they were rewarded for it 60 years later.
How about people that work hard for like 350 years and didn't get any reward? Yeah.
Like who?
Slaves.
Yeah, slaves.
What do you mean? Do you know anyone that's ever owned a slave?
Do I know anyone that's ever owned a slave?
Yes.
What does that have to do with
It has a lot to do with it.
What does that have to do with like?
Because if you make three big choices in America, you're guaranteed not to live in poverty. You know what those three choices are? Get married before you have kids, get a job, and graduate high school. You know what community does that at the highest rate? Asian Americans. That's why they're successful. We live in a meritocracy. You make good choices, you will be rewarded for those choices, irrelevant of your skin color. So when you say white privilege exists, good choice privilege exists.
Yeah, but I think white people reap a lot of benefits.
Name one benefit that white people that they benefit from this society, despite Asian. What?
Police treatment.
What about police treatment? That white people are more likely to be shot by a police officer than a black person's likely to be shot by a police officer? From the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice independent study of 300 independent police forces across the country. Facts must bother leftists because they always walk away as soon as you recite them.
You can make a ton of leftists here who are still standing here.
Well, I've already made a couple leave, but I'm happy to keep going.
Oh, you made a couple. That's great.
No, but let's get back. Can you,
No, that's quantifiable evidence.
if white privilege exists, why are Asian Americans and Indian Americans wealthier, have higher incomes, live in better areas on aggregate than white Americans do?
I don't know.
Maybe because white privilege doesn't exist.
Maybe, or maybe
Oh,
there's.
maybe it doesn't. Okay. Maybe skin color has nothing to do with it,
But
and choices have everything to do with it.
I disagree with you.
Then show me some evidence, because I just showed you some evidence that it doesn't exist.
What would you take as evidence? What counts for you?
Something that I just said, for example, that the wealthiest people in America, numbers would be nice, historical data, logic.
Testimony.
No, testimony means nothing. I don't care about anyone's version of truth, I care about evidence. I don't care about feelings, I care about facts.
Aren't most of these studies partially based on testimony, though?
No, when you say that Asian Americans are the richest people in America, that's math. That's looking at people's income. That's not testimony.
Okay.
Testimony would be a singular person saying, I've had a tough time.
This is one of the biggest problems affecting the left is there's a reason that, eyewitness testimony is one of the worst things that you can bring up, because even though somebody's not trying to manipulate you or lie to you, they could misremember something, and sometimes your brain fills in gaps with things that didn't even happen. So eyewitness testimony is one of the worst things that you can appeal to. And that's really what's wrong with the left on a large scale, is they listen too much to how people feel. They don't worry about the reality of the situation. They say things like, "Oh, well, this is my truth." There is no my truth. It is the truth.
That would be testimony, which that might be true, but that doesn't make it true in the aggregate.
Black people?
I'm sorry?
Is there discrimination?
There's discrimination against all sorts of people.
Yeah, is it worse against black people or is it equal?
Depends what part of the country, it depends what situation. And when that exists,
So if you put it
there's
all
laws to
together,
put
which
people in
one-
prison.
If you put them all together, which race faces the most discrimination in this country?
I would say probably Hispanic Americans in certain parts of the country, even more so. But I have no data to support that. You asked me some anecdotal question. I haven't done that much thinking about it. But I'll say this. In America, if you make a sequence of good choices irrelevant of skin color, you will be rewarded for those choices. We're one of the only countries in the world where that is possible, where you can have intergenerational ascension, where your kids can be better than how you are today.
It's like kind of a fallacy.
It's not a fallacy. That's why Asian Americans
apply to
entered.
everybody.
That's why Asian Americans entered in the 1940s as the poorest group in America, and they're now the richest group. The Constitution was not written in Korean, yet they have benefited the most from what people call a white predominant society. Indian Americans, for example, from India, are the second richest per race.
Was the
category in America.
Constitution written in Hindi?
No, that's exactly the point.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Continue.
The point is that people say that our society is rigged for white individuals and white men. The evidence does not suggest that. There's twice as many white people living in poverty today than black people. Now, the rate for poverty in the black community is much higher, but the aggregate number is something that should not be ignored. So the misconception that our country is rigged just for people based on a certain skin color has zero evidence. Yet that is the predominant thing that is being taught in our
When
universities.
did it stop?
What do you mean?
When did it not be rigged anymore? Because it clearly used to be rigged. You're saying it isn't rigged now.
That's a fair point. I'd say throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s, as America got significantly less racist, as we passed the Civil Rights Act, things got more equitable in the sense where better decisions got rewarded more.
And you don't think that there could be a lag effect of 350 years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow?
I think those inequities have been more balanced out, more so than it's even worth considering that 350 years of inequity. For example, Asian Americans built the railroad system in America in the late 1800s, early 1900s in America. We put Japanese Americans in internment camps in the 1940s.
I've taken history class.
Jewish Americans had an extermination order against them in Europe in the 1940s. The point being is that,
I've taken history class.
right, so almost every racial ethnic group has had some form of suffering. So to point to something that happened a very, very long time ago and to attribute the inequity today to
It wasn't
that,
that long ago, though.
when was slavery abolished?
Slavery was abolished in 1808. The international slave trade was gotten rid of. But then we actually resorted to chattel slavery, which is where we bred them like cattle.
You're not going to hear me defend slavery for a
Okay,
second. No, I mean,
that's
obviously.
good because I
It's
would
one of the
think
great
you'd be an
sins of the American. It's one of the great sins of the American story.
Maybe we need
But
to
you know
do
what's
it right.
also admirable about it? How we got rid of slavery.
What, something
Because
admirable about slavery?
no, what's admirable about our history, not about slavery.
Okay, thank you.
But we still
Because-
haven't dealt with like the repercussions.
What repercussions?
Do you realize that these guys' arguments would pretty much be like saying, "Yeah, my dad was an alcoholic, so that's why I can't get in a driver's license." That's how crazy that is. And it's even worse than that, because they're talking decades and decades and decades ago. You know, a 16-year-old claiming they can't get a driver's license because their dad is such a horrible drunk. Do you realize that is the level of stupidity that these people are playing on here?
That,
The lack of the ability for certain people to accumulate wealth.
such as who?
I don't know, like I was down in New Orleans, right, and I see all these mansions, and it's like those people, their old mansions, they made their money, they're probably slave owners. then you go into a black neighborhood and enslave them.
But they might have been slave owners in
Yeah,
1865
but they
when the
have that
American.
accumulated wealth that can compound versus people that don't have the opportunity.
Oh, okay, so you're making a fair point that there might be intergenerational inequity. How do you go about that? Well, some people on the left would say you tax it, you take away from what people used to have. I totally and completely disagree with that.
What do you think? Then what is your case?
Because
how
I
do you
don't.
do reparations then?
There's no reparations. I believe in opportunity. Instead of trying to fix the past, which will never happen, which is a horrible idea, you create a better future.
It'll never happen with that attitude.
No, because you know why? Any country that's ever tried reparations has failed miserably. South Africa, for example. They've tried reparations the last 30 years. They're more racially divided on the brink of civil war than they ever have been.
You think we're on the brink of civil war?
I hope not.
You think so?
No, I said I hope not.
But I asked if you think so.
No,
not
I
if
don't
you
think
hope.
we are. But it's people on the left that want us to be more divided than not.
No, I think it's like you.
No,
You're
because-
here trying to divide people.
Hold on a second. Do you support black-only dormitories?
Sure.
You do. Okay.
That is so crazy to say you support black-only dormitories. That is literally going against everything that we fought for, you know. To go and resegregate things. Can you just think for 1 second what it would be like if they said the NFL is now between the white NFL and the black NFL? Like, you just defeated years and decades of progress.
That's resegregation. You realize that.
No, I think if black people want to do that, we should allow them to because they have to face a
Well, then would you support white-only dormitories?
No, I wouldn't.
Why?
Because pretty much the school is white only. Pretty much every dormitory is white only.
Yeah, this guy's a perfect encapsulation of the left. They would support black-only dormitories because, you know, blacks should be able to do that. But then anytime you say, can there be a white-only thing, it immediately turns to racism. The way that you need to look at these things is if you flip the race, you know, for instance, if you say black-only dormitories is great, flip the race. If you say white-only dormitories is bad, so if you don't get the same answer, then what you're saying is just inconsistent and is in fact racism. Black-only dormitories is racism.
I don't know the demographic makeup of Oregon, but looking around, I'd say it's a more diverse campus than just being
I
a
would say
white-only
if
campus.
black people want, yeah,
So you believe in black-only graduation ceremonies at Harvard?
if they want that, sure.
So-
Why do I care? Why does it bug me?
Well, it should bug you that we're
No.
resegregating
No, it
parts of the
doesn't bug me.
population.
There's a difference.
That
It's
people
totally
marched in
different.
this. What's the
One thing
difference?
If white people say that black people have to be separate.
What's the
it's
difference
a
of skin color? What's the difference between a white person and
I
a
was
black
trying to
person?
tell you.
Tell me what's the difference between a white person and a black person.
No, I'm not.
There's no difference. They're both
No,
human beings. There's
they're,
only
like,
one race, the
treated
human
differently.
race.
They're
They're-
treated differently.
How are they treated differently? Give me one piece of evidence. What can a black person not do in America that I can do?
They get treated differently by the police, and I've seen it.
It's funny that he says that because if you look at, and especially today's time, yeah, he's right. Black people are treated way differently. They are held to no accountability. Look at the dude that stabbed Irina Zarutska. I mean, that dude should not have been walking the streets. But because people have this whole black empathy thing where they think, oh, the only reason that a black man does a crime is because he was forced to because of slavery. That is a wild thing to do, and it gets people hurt, and it causes unnecessary turmoil in our country.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though the data shows that a black person.
Data can be used to lie.
Police,
Wait,
police
so
departments-
facts don't matter,
Police
essentially.
departments are actually capable of policing their own records, so
Yeah.
the ability.
Even though most of the inner city police forces are black majority police forces,
Are they?
Okay,
such
that's
as Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a 44% black city with a 56% black police
That
force.
bugs you?
No, it actually gives me happiness. That,
Really?
yeah, because I care about all people, and I don't look at people based on race like you
So
do.
you're post-racial?
Absolutely.
Because it does. That
You're
does
not.
make
You're the
sense.
one that wants black-only graduation ceremonies and black-only dormitories.
what I said.
You're okay with that? I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, because
We desegregated America.
Because that argument works for you, and it's not desegregated.
It's not.
There's still a lot of problems. And like to say that if people want to have,
But the problems are not based on race.
yeah, they are. There's
You-
tons of racial problems in America.
You have yet to give.
Childish and ignorant that you really think that race matters to most people. Now, I won't sit here and say that there isn't individual racists out there that are just crappy people, but to insinuate that, you know, somehow we hate on black people more in this country than anyone else, that is just a wild thought process and so childish.
Me any evidence or data or one piece
Do
of
you
example.
believe that there are any racial problems?
Individually, absolutely. Are there individually committed people that are racist 100%.
Do
And
you
is the
believe
president
that
one
there
of
are
them?
No,
systemic
President
racial
Trump is one of the
issues?
least racist people in America.
Whatever.
Do you
And
believe
don't
that-
like facts.
No, give me one evidence that he's
How
racist.
about he got caught discriminating against giving out
Complete and
housing?
total false, not true whatsoever.
Okay,
Would-
so
would-
you can not believe facts.
Wait, no.
however you
Would
want.
a
Okay.
racist president such as President Donald Trump put a black woman as the
That
first
doesn't-
Army sergeant
that is not a
ever in the
real
history of the United
argument.
States Army?
That I'm
Would
not
a-
racist to have a black friend argument.
The first
doesn't
Army
fly.
sergeant,
so at what-
the
That's
first
not
Army sergeant ever in the
Influ-
history of the
fir-
U.S. Army?
the
That,
first
that, that,
woman-
that's not true.
The first woman battalion commander, you can look
Oh,
it up.
okay, battalion
Confirmed by
commander
the
is
United
different than
States
a
Senate.
sergeant.
The first black woman confirmed by the United States Senate in a position of the United States Army ever. Here's a very simple
Okay.
question for you. At what point does someone stop being a racist in your mind?
I haven't thought about it.
You haven't thought, but yet you're quick to label, but you're not quick to retract or have a line in your head. That's pretty dangerous,
maybe
isn't
when
it?
Well, we'll end this off by saying liberals, they are so ignorant in the way they think and the way that they just perceive things, and they truly believe that black people are discriminated against in this country. Y'all have a good day.